Equalities Minister Kemi Badenoch has claimed that Labour would risk creating a blasphemy law with its definition of Islamophobia.
She said it's best to use the term anti-Muslim hatred to protect both religious freedom and the freedom to criticise religion.
Well, this comes as Labour Shadow Equalities Secretary Annalise Dodds attacked the Tories for failing to call out Islamophobia, in her words, in light of Lee Anderson's suspension from the party.
Well, joining us now is human rights and LGBT campaigner Peter Tatchell, who opposes the term Islamophobia, and human rights campaigner Aisha Ali-Khan, who thinks the term should not be dropped. Peter, shall we start with you? Peter, where are your concerns about the term Islamophobia? Do you believe it needs to be replaced by something else? What's your view?
Well, my starting point is that we must protect Muslim people against prejudice, discrimination and hate crime. We must protect people. But Islam is an idea, and like all ideas, it should be open to criticism. So strictly meaning Islamophobia means fear of Islam. Now, if you're a gay person or a woman, there are some aspects of Islam or some interpretations of Islam which rightly make you fearful. If you live in an Islamic majority country, most of them are dictatorships with appalling human rights records. So I want to say, let's use the term anti-Muslim prejudice to focus on protecting Muslim people, not protecting the idea of Islam, because like all ideas, it should be open to scrutiny and criticism.
Aisha, that's a fair point, isn't it? The word Islamophobia could be could be criminalising to some extent people who are critical of Islam.
I don't agree with what Peter's just said. For me, as a practicing Muslim, it's not just an ideology, it's actually my religion, it's my way of life. And I think that the fact we've got this definition that has been adopted by the Labour Party, the Lib Dems, and many other people, by the way, it protects us from hatred, from acts of hatred that are targeted towards us simply because we are Muslim. And I'll give you an example right now. Recently we had an example of a pig's head thrown into a home of a Muslim person. In the past, we've had similar acts where we've had bacon left in the mosque. In the mosque, we've had people playing loud music when it's times of prayer. These are just examples, obviously. These acts are designed to harass, intimidate, cause harm to Muslims. They might not necessarily be something that offends, say, non-Muslims, but it's definitely something that Muslims would find offensive. So I definitely think that we need to keep the term. It's something that we've spent many years campaigning on. We had a report that was published in 2019, which set out criteria, and it was adopted by the Labour Party, it was adopted by the Lib Dems, as I've said, because it set out ways that Muslims would feel intimidated and harassed, but also identifying that as Muslims living in the UK, we are visible. We
Aisha, what to Peter's point, though? Sorry to interrupt, Aisha. What to Peter's point that there might be some people in the United Kingdom who are genuinely fearful of Islam? There might be some refugees in the United Kingdom who've fled Muslim majority countries because they'd be persecuted there for their sexuality.
No, absolutely. And as a human rights campaigner and a women's rights campaigner, I've always stood up for people who've been oppressed, even people obviously oppressed and targeted by Islamists and so on. But I do feel that these are a tiny minority, as Fabian Hamilton, the MP you just had on, said, the actions and behaviours and beliefs of a tiny minority should not be used to target everybody. As you can see, I don't wear a headscarf, but I will, but I have campaigned and argued for everybody to have the right to wear and dress as they want to, regardless of your religious background. This is just an example of living in a tolerant society, and there are many other people like me, but sadly we are constantly tarnished because of the actions of a minority of people, and we are then left to apologize or to say not in our name and so on, and it's really unfair, by the way. But coming back to this idea,
Can I just come back in a minute?
Yeah, let's Peter to come in.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the examples that Aisha has given are all examples of attacks and threats against Muslim people, not against an idea, against people. And I oppose that, and I stand with the Muslim community against that prejudice, hatred, and hostility. That is absolutely wrong. But I think, as I said, what's wrong with the term Islamophobia is it focuses on the idea of Islam, not on Muslim people. And we need to protect Muslim people, not to protect any particular idea. And I say that, including my own ideas. My ideas should be open to scrutiny and criticism. I don't want special protection. I want everybody to have the right to free speech. And of course, when it comes to oppression of Muslim people, in some cases, Muslims are oppressed by other Muslims. So I know liberal progressive Muslims who don't share all the aspects of Islamic teaching. Some are ex-Muslims. They've suffered terrible persecution from other Muslims, but it's not about the idea per se. It's about them as people. I say focus on Muslim people, protect them, don't protect an idea.
Rather than the religion. Aisha, would you see it as Islamophobia if someone criticised the contents of the Quran or criticised the Prophet or some of the beliefs that are in the Islamic faith? Would you consider that Islamophobia?
No, I wouldn't actually. I think it's important that everybody is allowed to challenge things that they don't understand or they don't agree with. And I also believe that as Muslims, we should be able to stand up to, those challenges, not stand up to them, but accept those challenges and be able to communicate and have an open dialogue. I mean, I've watched over the years, I've seen what has happened, the terror attacks in Paris, for example, the Charlie Hebdo incident. I've just given you an example right there. I don't believe that people should be targeted for whatever religious beliefs that they believe in, but also I think there has to be some kind of understanding and acceptance and tolerance of people, and that goes both ways. So as a Muslim, I accept that there are elements in my own religion that should be more tolerant towards LGBTQI and other communities.